you. Okay. So this is part 1 of All the Ugly and Wonderful Things. What did we think?
I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was nice that we get different perspectives, but the story just, continues.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of cool.
It had good flow.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely like not that. I mean, it's easy to read because it's interesting and dramatic, but it's also very like sad.
Yeah.
And dramatic and in a sad way.
Yeah.
And like uncomfortable too. Like it makes you a little uncomfortable. Well, it made me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely like a lot of sad parts, but for some reason, like the overall tone, I feel like isn't that sad. I don't know.
Like there's hope.
Maybe maybe there's hope with this Kellen character. But
Mm-hmm.
it's also like, I don't know. I feel like it's borderline scandalous, or could be their relationship.
Yeah, and because we've read other books, I don't know if you've heard of My Dark Vanessa.
No, I have not read
It was about like a 15, was she 15, Corina?
I think around that age, 15, 16.
15, 16, and she was dating like an older man. And I did not like that. And I feel like I'm getting that vibe that this book might end up going that way.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like uncomfortable, but I just feel like there's parts where he's trying to really help her out. But then there's parts where you can tell he's crossing that line, and it's weird.
Right.
It reminds
like,
me of,
what is his motive to be so nice to her,
Yes. Yeah.
Like he likes her attention, but you shouldn't be hanging out with such a young child. Oh, and then I'm trying to figure out, is it more like a father-daughter thing?
Mm-hmm.
That she doesn't have a huge male role in her life.
Do we know his age? I kept trying to figure that out, but I wasn't able to.
I think he's like late or early 20s, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, because I thought they said he's young.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's still kind of weird, a 20-year-old.
And they call it a love story, so.
Yeah. It's an 8-year-old.
I don't know.
way maybe then, because you guys did say it was a love story, huh? Maybe when she gets older, like.
Doesn't that might bring in like the grooming aspect of relationships?
What do you mean?
Like older individuals grooming on younger individuals, like giving them the attention that they want and crave, and setting them up for a romantic relationship. I mean, I know it's been a hot topic in social media recently, especially with like the Britney Spears thing.
Mm-hmm.
And influencers.
What about, like, it reminds me also of Isla. They have that imprinting,
Yeah,
which is like more innocent happen.
I can see that. Yeah.
About the germs, and then her taking care of her baby brother. That's all. Not the parent or on their emergency contact list. So that was kind of interesting, to see how it was back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt really sad that she was put in the sped class when, I wonder like how that happened, because she seemed pretty capable, and I feel like nobody really tried to kind of get through to her, so that was sad.
Yeah.
And they didn't even like ask the grandma anything. They just put her in that class.
Yeah.
So the moms, what's also interesting is the foil between the mom and her sister, Brenda and Valerie. And that I assume that how she got to where she is today, but there might be more, is her OCD not being addressed in her childhood and her having like turned to drugs.
Yeah. When they first mentioned that, she's like, oh, she had this disorder that they could have diagnosed earlier. And I was like, oh, I wonder what it is. And then they keep unraveling a little bit more of each of like the things that have happened, and now how wavy has become. It's like the trauma that she got from her mom, which is sad. Like even the touching, and I mean the eating too. But the touching, I was like, oh, it's not because obviously she was like abused or something. It's because she thinks she has germs and she was told not to touch others.
Yeah, like she will infect them.
Yeah.
It was also sad hearing about the Listerine and the bleach, especially if she was trying to do it to horrible for Wavy, but also for the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least she knows that's wrong and was trying to protect them.
Yeah.
Do you think Kellen will like break her of that kind of? Because obviously he doesn't like care about germs. So do you think she'll realize germs aren't that bad? Like how they shared this, or how he drank her soda, you know?
I feel like he will help her, because even in, like, he's noticing that she wasn't eating the burgers, and he knows that she doesn't like the whole germ stuff. But I think maybe he'll one, he's already accepting that, but two, I think he will definitely help her somehow.
Yeah.
Like come through that and be like, you know what, it's not as bad as my mom once said.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Yeah, I really hope so. There was this interesting part where, let me see if I can go back to it. When we were talking about the baby, how Wavy had said, oh, now that he's moving around, it's harder to keep him safe. And at least pretty soon he will be big enough to take care of himself. And he's 2.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he said, oh, next year. And I'm like, as a 3-year-old,
yeah, that
you expect him, like,
what?
And like, I know she had to grow up and she's cooking a whole meal at 8.
Yeah.
But that was
she was probably taking care of herself at 3.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah. I wonder if she has any thoughts in her mind, like, when he's 3, I can leave or something.
Well, when Kellen had the motorcycle accident, I totally thought he died, and that's why we like continued to be traumatized. It wasn't until I read the next few pages I was like, wait, he's alive. So
But technically it was the accident because of her?
I think so. I think he got distracted because
he was going too fast too.
Yeah, because at first I was like, oh, he kept thinking she was an angel, and maybe that's why he's like, oh, I owe her something. So then he saw the living situation. He's like, let me help her out. But he kind of had that whole accident because he saw her. So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. You wouldn't feel like the need to return something to them if they're the ones who cause it, you know? Like, at least that's how I was thinking.
Yeah, he's like drawn, like infatuated by her. I wonder like what she looks like with that hair.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He described her as like an angel.
Yeah.
An angel.
Like she must be really maybe beautiful or like unique, but everyone that knows her, they call her like weird, so they don't really appreciate her beauty.
Yeah.
I also thought it was interesting how there's 3. It reminded me of Coraline, that there's these 3 different mothers, like nice mom and I forgot what she called the other ones, old mom and bad mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So also wonder if her mom might be bipolar.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I think it's a little more than OCD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably bipolar.
Maybe schizophrenic too. Could be that.
Yeah, I was thinking schizophrenic. Maybe all three. Okay, good night. Alvaro's going to sleep. Yeah, because everything's dirty could be like a schizophrenic delusion.
Oh, you have things
But
like
then,
imaginary things going into your body.
yeah. And then the borderline or the bipolar is like, the depression and the mania, but I don't know if she goes manic. Maybe on her good days, she's actually manic.
And then maybe with the adding of the layer of the drug use too, like that's.
Yeah, true.
I wonder how much is like the effects of the meth versus
Yeah.
The other thing is these adults in this book just like not calling people out on things. Like especially her sister Brenda, when she dropped off the kids for a week, just like saying, "Oh, what happened?" And Val's just like, "Oh, a last minute thing showed up," and they just kind of let it fizzled out.
Mm-hmm.
The reason she keeps doing these things is because no one's calling her out.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're afraid of calling her out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true.
And even
the
weird people that are at the farm who are like don't even care that there's children there. I mean, I would think besides Kellen, one other person would be concerned.
Yeah, especially at that party.
Yeah.
It's funny because they're meth runners, and I'm assuming they have a little lab somewhere, but even so, even if Kellen's kind of like committing a crime by helping do whatever he's doing, he seems like a somewhat decent person compared to everyone else, which I find really interesting.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trying not to be too hard on him with this, whatever's going on with him and Wavy, because it seems to be the only positive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wonder, like, who Wavy would want to live with. Like, does she want to stay with her mom, or would she want to be with Brenda, or does she want to be with Kellen? Like, if she could pick her guardian.
I feel she would pick Kellen because she's also kind of intrigued by him in some weird way. Like when she's, like looking at his tattoo, or like, he knows that he probably like smells hella bad, but she's like, oh, like, I don't know. I feel like there's maybe like what you said about imprinting Julie. It's kind of reminding me of that. So
I know,
definitely wants to go because he gets her like all her little weird like when she doesn't eat and probably her micro expressions. I feel like he can probably read her really well, so that's why she feels a little more comfortable with him.
Yeah.
I think Kellen too. I feel like she doesn't have a bad time with Brenda and like Amy, the cousin, but I think the dad was the one that was not approving of it. Like Brenda at first was like, okay, cool, I'll have to deal with it. But in the end, she didn't really want to have her either. So I feel like Kellen, then it'd be like Brenda, and then I think the mom would be last because of the bad mom and good mom stuff.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I wonder if we're gonna get into like an older stage in her life.
Yeah.
Because it has the years on every chapter. Right?
Yeah.
A whole bunch.
Like I wonder how old are we gonna see Wavy?
That's probably where the love story part gets in.
Yeah, maybe it'll jump ahead like 10 years suddenly.
I feel like maybe part 3 and 4 would be the older years. But I also think they have to go back because the author mentioned at some point that the mom, we know she went to prison, but they never explained why.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So I feel like that's a big element.
It was child endangerment.
Uh-huh.
And this, has anybody ever heard or read the book A Child Called It?
Yeah.
Heard of it, but haven't read. I don't know.
read it.
That one's really sad, and it's kind of reminding me of this book, but the abuse in A Child Called It is definitely more extreme. It reminds me of that book, and it also reminds me of the Sons of Anarchy TV show with the biker culture and don't respect women, and they're running this like drug scheme on the side.
Yeah. I know, it's really sweet, like her relationship with her grandma at the end.
Yeah, I almost cried because you find out that the grandpa died first, and then he was in remission, and then when it came back, I was like, right when things were getting better, like she just can't have something good happen, and I'm like, oh,
like nothing ever good, keeps losing people.
Yeah.
And the cookbook she keeps talking about reminds me of the other book we read.
The cookbook?
Yes. I read that book too, yeah.
Oh, did you finish it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wound up not as depressing.
Yeah.
No, that one was depressing.
That was,
I know. But
I was also wondering, why do all the girls like Liam so much? Because he seems like a big jerk.
Yeah.
I know. He has all these women.
Yeah. First we hear about Vicky, and then Dee, who was supposedly friends with the mom, Val. I'm like, oh my goodness. Ugh.
It reminds me of those communes they had in the 70s and 60s, like with Charles Manson.
Like the cults?
Yeah. Where they just all live. Because they live on a farm. And it's just doing drugs and being filthy.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And was it Tulsa? Is that Oklahoma or something?
Yeah, they're in because I looked up Myrtle Beach, and it's in like North or South Carolina. I can't remember which one.
Okay.
I think Tulsa is in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma?
Yeah, there could be multiple.
That's funny. I remember Myrtle Beach is in one of the Carolinas from the Nicholas Sparks novel.
Yeah,
it's romantic.
South Carolina is the one that pops up, but I feel like I've heard them in multiple places.
Yeah,
I want to say South Carolina though. Oh, that's what
I thought it was interesting how like Kellen's mom also died, and he had the heart on the calendar, and then he put like Wavy's birthday or something, and then he put a heart too.
Yeah, that was cute.
But then I also wonder, because they did talk about him either having some type of intellectual disability or fetal alcohol syndrome. I wonder if that's them just being prejudiced against him because he's Native American or part Native American.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too, because we don't find out until the end about that.
And he also had an accident where he got
exactly. Yeah.
Maybe he has like some sort of brain trauma.
And they do a lot of drugs.
Well, that too. Let's see. Oh, I liked getting the perspective of the teacher. That was cool.
Yeah. Although she should have been a little bit more nosy, I think.
Yeah, she didn't even like confirm, are you her dad?
And Kellen didn't even say.
And that's so bad.
Yeah.
It could be a kidnapper still trying to like play the role of like, let me still take the kid.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like one of my biggest as a teacher, especially working with the littles. And when they get picked up, like you start memorizing the cars and like who's driving them, so you know, okay, it's the mom or the tia or babysitter or whatever. But if it was someone like that Even if it was another parent that I knew, but it wasn't like someone related to the kid, I wouldn't let them. And it's, it becomes awkward. So I'm like, sorry, you have to call the parent, have them call the office and add you to the list. If not, I cannot like let this.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
And the mom was talking about like how when she was younger, it was a safer time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably back then maybe a little safer than now for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I wonder if she's going to interact with her cousins more when they grow up too, because it seems that like it kind of came up in the beginning when she was staying with them, and then towards the end when they were being babysat by Brenda.
Yeah.
Well, I liked Amy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Amy really cares for her. She's just so young, she can't really do much. And it's a little different than her mom and her sister and her dad and how she interacts with Wavy.
Yeah, she seems to understand Wakey. Like, yeah, Amy, Kellen, and the grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those are definitely the ones who were good for her.
I also thought it was funny that Wavy was teaching them how to get. She was over that week.
Oh.
How to what?
I think the book said that she was showing them how to play poker with money or something.
Oh yeah, you're right.
She's teaching them.
Like, where did she? I wonder where she learned all this. I mean, I can see that from like the group of like the mom and all of them, right? But earlier when she was stealing all the stuff, where did she learn that?
I don't know.
And how much did she have to speak to like explain it to them?
Yeah. I felt like it was kind of out of character because when we see her on her own, she's like just taking care of her brother or cleaning or thinking about when her mom or Liam are going to come over. They don't really, or the constellations.
Yeah, I forget. Where did she learn the constellations again?
She learned it from the neighbor when she was with the mom before she went to jail.
Oh yeah, the neighborhood letter.
Which I'm like,
bacon sandwiches.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
I feel like she always has that one good person for her in like every moment of her life.
True.
I feel like they could do more for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could have done something, He heard them fighting. He's like, "Oh yeah, you can come over here," and called her a little stray cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, maybe it's just the time of the 70s. But if Ellen saw the abuse when he was at that dinner with the mom and the dad, like getting the police involved, but then they kept saying, well, she's just going to end up in another foster situation anyway.
That's true.
I don't know. Everyone's scared of Liam, and it seems like somehow he's like ensuring their income or their housing or something. Like he's holding that over their heads.
Maybe it is a cult then, because it seems sometimes Kellen is like, oh, I should get the Colt's gun or whatever, but like he almost wants to defy him, but I agree that he keeps holding back for some reason.
Yeah.
If they are a biker gang. Because what were they doing out in Myrtle Beach? They never.
Yeah, they don't say. And even Val was like, "Oh, I know what you do when you're out in your businesses," but it seemed more like, "Oh, you're out there hooking up with girls," which I mean, he is, but where is he actually getting income from? That's that's interesting. Like, what are you doing besides like getting high and hooking up?
I think like the bike shop is almost like a front for his drug business.
Money line.
Yeah, maybe he's like going to cement a relationship with another like drug person in a different area, I mean, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Anarchy all the time. Rival gangs and the ones that they're on okay terms with and they work together and all this drama. And definitely a lot of partying and drug use.
Yeah. And I'm just like expecting something really bad to happen. Like, I just have this feeling, like to Wavy or something.
Well, even when Liam was forcing her to eat, I think she ended up with like a scar or something. Because Amy was just, she looked a little bruised. And I had forgotten. I was like, wait, why is she bruised? Why is she hurt? But it was the dad. He's crazy.
And that's her
biological
dad?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's her biological dad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even though the mom kept saying, that's not your daddy, that's not your daddy, I think she was just saying it just to like kind of protect her, but at the same time, it's like,
Spiteful.
oh, call him.
That's why I thought. That makes sense. Thank you. I thought it was her because of that phrase. I thought maybe it wasn't her biological dad for some reason.
No, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
These names are so unique too. Wavona, like I've never heard of that name. And Don what's the baby's name?
Donald. Like Donald Duck, but without the D.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. I was like, that's kind of unique. I wonder what the significance is.
Yeah, it's interesting because like when they mentioned Wavy and Wavona, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then it's Wavona started sounding like Huevona in Spanish as in lazy. And I'm like, okay, I don't like it. Every time I see that name, I just want to say Wavy instead. But I wonder if, like, you know how some names usually stand for something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Symbolize? I don't think it would represent her in that Spanish aspect. I don't think she's lazy. I think she's pretty.
Yeah.
On the beach and the waves. This is where Wavy came from. And then they like combine it with someone else's name, like Winona or something like that. And with
they were just high when they thought of her.
Okay.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
Or is that like a 70s name that we're just not familiar with?
That's also true.
I also wonder how big of a role, or if there's going to be a deeper meaning with her obsession with the constellations.
Yeah.
I'll have to read up.
I wonder if maybe, because she kept saying that the stars guide you. So what if she somehow ends up lost? And she needs that knowledge.
What if?
Or like, is she planning to run away or something?
Oh.
What if Kellen tries to protect her from something and he crosses Liam and Liam's like, yo, get out or I'll kill you. So he gets out and then Wavy like tries to find him. And that's like where the love story part might come into play.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or since they're, running meth, maybe somehow the police start, finding out and maybe Liam like makes Kellen take the fall. He goes to jail and then still Wavy tries to go find him or something like that.
That's interesting how she knows so much about the stars. Because I feel like I do know some constellations. Like I can identify Orion's belt just because it keeps confusing me and it's always there. But besides that, I don't, it's interesting. I don't think I know how to guide myself.
Like, yeah, and like, did that one guy teach her all that, or did she do her own research?
Yeah, because I don't think she spent that much time. I mean, maybe they did have a lot of fights, but to teach that much knowledge, I feel like she did it herself too. Like she has personal interest.
Yeah.
Maybe one of those books she took at the beginning was about the constellations or astronomy.
Oh, that's right. She was she does like to read.
I feel she has a lot of potential.
Yeah. They say she's good at math.
And she's balancing the books at the shop. She already knew all her letters when she was going into kinder. I mean, that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, pretty good.
She's definitely very smart for her age.
And mature. Like she's
Definitely.
40 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After all she's gone through, I think.
Maybe that's why she thinks Kellen is her boyfriend. She's just, But that goes back to the adultification too.
Yeah.
That's part of the abuse.
Isn't she like 9 right now?
I think so. She was in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And so, even if, I don't know, that's not my favorite part of the book. Even if it turns into like a romance. It also says the author, Bryn, her father was a reformed drug dealer.
Oh.
So could part of this be true story?
That's
or interactions with drug dealers, yeah.
Maybe
loosely.
Yeah. Maybe it will be like the movie Man on Fire, where the guy sacrifices like themselves for the kid at the end.
Yeah.
That's an old movie. I recommend it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but that's deep. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Then I spoiled it, but it's still worth watching. Denzel Washington and Dakota Fanning when she was really young.
Oh.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, but I don't know. I still like Kellen because, I think he's like the only hope she has, really. But there's something like a little fishy about the relationship.
Yeah.
It's like, what is he getting out of this relationship?
Yeah.
I guess.
I think he likes how important he is to her and how much he can help out and be recognized for it. I think you mentioned before that no one really looks at him with any significance.
Yeah.
Especially when he was the wingman to Liam, and it's kind of like strange how the other girls are just like, okay, I will like do this to you or with you or whatever, but they're not really into him.
Yeah, you're right. He's always like the second choice for all the women.
I also wonder how he got involved in all that because he had that job with the mechanic and he seems to be doing okay.
And what was he saying about the Indian reservation?
I think he was saying that he was thinking about going to live there and have a job over there, but I can't remember exactly how that went down.
Yeah, he's kind of like a wanderer.
But yeah, he does remind me of Jacob Black.
Yeah, I think that connection is astute.
I wonder how Donald, I keep on saying Donald turn out.
I know, like, will we get his perspective soon?
Oh.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. I wonder if he's gonna fall into like the same patterns as he did.
Maybe he'll get treated better because he's a boy and they don't seem to be like treating women that good in this book. I don't know.
Good point. That's a good point.
I mean, at least his sister's doing so much for him. Like, sounds like she's doing more for him than her mom did for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the mom just spends her time sleeping, high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depressed.
Yeah, because she's doing all the cooking, she's doing all the cleaning. Or even when Kellen cleaned, she was like, my mom cleaned? What? No, it was not.
And the whole dinner scene I felt was so awkward because she took the credit for Wavy making the food, and like that part, like apart from like the, you know, the obvious, like, you know, Liam trying to force Wavy to eat, I just felt like the whole pretense was really awkward and really fake from her.
Yeah.
Why would she? I don't know. Like, she's just trying to make Liam happy, I guess. Probably she's afraid that he'll run off with some of the other ladies. But I just felt like since the whole premise was a lie, I felt it was super uncomfortable.
Yeah, at some point, I felt like Wavy was just gonna say like, I made the food. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna go crazy. And but she didn't.
Yeah.
And it still got pretty wild, but
yeah,
there was tension. So much.
Definitely.
I even felt like Liam was gonna get mad at Val and it's like, oh, so you have Kellen here when he was talking about that. I thought
yeah, he didn't even like suspect that. Right?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Maybe he knows he has Kellen under his thumb because Kellen's not that self-confident.
Yeah.
And Liam and Val, they said they dropped out of high school because she got pregnant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you think of the sister dynamic? Like how different they are? Like, does Brenda have any psych issues too? Is she just medicated?
The only thing I can, because I was thinking about that too. The only thing I can think of is anxiety, because she was so anxious when Wavy showed up, Brenda. But I mean, I guess any adult would be anxious during that time, but the dad didn't seem to give two shits about it. But
yeah, but the dad's not like home. It seems like he goes to work.
Or even I feel like the anxiety of having someone like Wavy in her family. Like we said before, she didn't really want her there, and it would be on the assumption because she's different and not like the picture perfect family that she created. Because even Dee was saying when they got to their house, it was like the grass was perfectly cut, everything looked perfect. So maybe she had that OCD. More in like not so much germs, but how things look and appear.
Yeah, it could be a milestone of OCD.
Yeah.
On that note, like she's probably afraid of being seen like a bad person by sending Wavy away. That it's just like a a tough spot to be in because, like, I think that parents would probably, of course, want like what's best for their immediate children first, and if that like Wavy being there threatens like their happiness or their safety or just whatever they're exposed to, then she probably would feel bad sending Wavy away. And I agree that her husband is definitely kind of like, yo, just send her away. But I think that's why she has so much anxiety because it's like, what if, and that can drive someone nuts.
That's the thought I had. Like if I was in that position and one of my siblings was going through a tough time and they had a child and she's troubled, but it's not like she's, and they did like wander around, but it's not like she is violent that unless you approach her. Like would I bring a child in that their situation might harm my own children? Because I also know, I don't know if you guys heard this story about a family that adopted a child with severe, I think autism, but I can't remember.
And then they gave him up, right?
Uh-huh.
I did hear that.
and they were saying like they couldn't handle him, and they had some of their own biological children too.
But Kitty, was that when they also said it was like controversial because they had like a YouTube or something and like monetized,
so they, like monetized off of his situation.
But then suddenly they gave him up.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I think that happens a lot in foster care. So sad. I like worked with like the child psychiatrist during med school, and it's just sad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because they were brought into this life and they can't, they can't
control.
Yeah, exactly. Control the trauma that they're receiving. And like at all. One, they don't know anything really. They're young. And it's just that. They're learning the bad habits that are affecting them for the rest of their life.
Right.
And they're like being judged by, because what's her name? Brenda. Like, she's like over here saying that Wavy is troubled and stuff and she doesn't want her because she's like her mom. But I don't think she's realizing that it's because of all the things she's been through. Like, she should try and understand her, but they're not, which is sad.
Yeah. It's hard to break the cyclical like traumas, and for children who don't have like other recourse, it's hard for them to just avoid, becoming part of like the school to prison pipeline and, just repeating the mistakes of their parents or whoever's around them, unfortunately. I've been reading a lot about that, and like I just finally finished Orange is the New Black as well, and that was like something that came up in the end, like the generational like cycles of, okay, we're born in poverty, this is what we have to do to get by, okay, it's illegal, it's causing harm to others, but we need a place to live, right? We need to fulfill our immediate needs, and it is really sad.
The other thing I thought was interesting is obviously she's had trauma, and Brenda tried to take her to a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, and that didn't work out because she like was refusing, and now has someone in her life who could be a positive influence. But if she had gotten like the help she needed, how different things could be for her.
Mm-hmm.
If there was some other type of intervention, but again, if she was refusing so much, that she's 9 years old, I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting too.
I also wonder if like she was refusing it because you know how she was talking to Amy, but she wouldn't talk to the parents.
Mm-hmm.
Like if she kind of just, because she was getting these like negative vibes, so she was like, no, I'm gonna refuse everything you tell me, the food you give me, just no.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel
part of the OCD from her mom was like, if you open your mouth you can get germs and like give germs. I think that's part of why she doesn't talk too. So she might not have been talking.
That's a good point.
That's why she doesn't eat. That's also why she doesn't eat too. Yeah,
I missed that part. That's interesting because it makes sense. Huh. Wow, that's sad.
It's almost like Kellen's her therapist because he's the one who recognizes these behaviors. It's like, no, germs are not that bad.
Yeah.
He has to reteach her. And I think that even though I agree that like the relationship is kind of a little iffy at moments, but so far he's the only one that's like seeing it and going a step further to actually help, not the Thea, not the teacher, the other ladies who are around, or, so that's something, I guess.
Yeah.
And I wonder, Kellen probably doesn't, because since Kellen said his mom died, he probably doesn't have anyone else either. So maybe, he just needs to feel, like someone's paying attention to him.
Yeah, like family. Yeah, we'll see if he can break her of those like weird OCD thoughts.
Yes.
I'm gonna go off camera.
Yeah.
But
Why would she get out of the trash though?
yeah, that's so weird.
I think it was so the mom wouldn't notice that stuff was missing from the fridge though, right? That's what
Yeah.
I think of.
I also thought there was one moment where the mom, I guess, made spaghetti or something, and she was mad at the kids and threw it away.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew that it wasn't as dirty,
Mm-hmm.
and she ate it. But I don't know. I feel like it's because of that, but at the same time, like the trash is dirty. That's like that's where the actual germs are.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Maybe just out of pure hunger
Mm.
and not knowing any better because she's so young.
Maybe she couldn't reach the fridge too. I mean, the trash is really lower. That could be something. But I feel more was like she was afraid that her mom would know if food went missing from the fridge and her mom wouldn't go back to look in the trash maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I wonder if like she didn't want to let Brenda and like the dad know that she was eating. She's like, oh, she's not eating at all, but she's like, actually, I am.
Mm-hmm.
But from somewhere you don't expect to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many questions now.
Yeah.
More than before.
So it makes sense she would like get food from people's house or trash. But like, why would she steal books from the library? That's kind of weird. Just to be rebellious.
And Amy's like, please don't steal my books.
I know.
Her cousin said.
Maybe she was trying to get sent away from Brenda's house though, because she was afraid and she has those OCD tendencies that she inherited from her mom. Maybe she was being rebellious so that because she knew that they would want to get rid of her and send her back to her mom's. And she was more comfortable there even though it was like not the safest place either.
Maybe because she already knew the routine with the mom. She knows she's gonna be good now. She knows she's gonna be bad here. If I do this, she's gonna bring out the Listerine.
Or do you think she wanted to protect her baby brother? Was he born when she was there? He was, right?
I think when she got out of prison, that was the first time.
Yeah. Because I think when the first time she was with Brenda, she didn't know about the baby. Because then I think for the funeral, Val was like, oh, meet your brother, Vonnie, meet Donald. And she's like, what? Why am I going to kiss this baby? It's a trick. Like, he's got germs.
I'm trying to look it up right now, but I remember talking about the books, that Salome book.
I made a note of that, but I forgot to look up what it was or anything.
Yeah, I'm looking. It's an Oscar Wilde tragedy. And my phone is not letting me click on anything. But if it's a tragedy and if it mirrors whatever happens in this story, it's a biblical story of Salome, princess of Judea. But I thought that was...
I wonder if this will be like her favorite book that will keep appearing.
Yeah, because you're right. It's already appeared twice.
It's interesting.
I wonder even if it's the 70s, and I'm assuming like the rules and whatnot were more lax, that the teachers didn't send a social worker to their house to see what was going on. Because I'm just looking over my notes, and I wrote like how there was a big contrast in Val when she first went to register Wavy, and then when she went to go complain about the germs and stuff. And then the new teacher was crying and stuff like that.
I feel like that's true, because I think even They mentioned something about the Child Protective Services, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's like,
Oh yeah, like
something
they
should I
wanted a
not?
reason. She wanted a reason to call them.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess she didn't see a physical reason, but I think like her behavior almost is like a reason.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like now it'd be like it's more strict. Like if you see something wrong, you're like right away like, okay, what's going on? You try and figure it out.
Call. Especially because teachers are mandated reporters.
Mm-hmm. Well, the next section will be part 2.
Okay, hold on. Let me put my sticky note.
Which I believe is around the same reading-wise. Hopefully.
Okay, that's doable.
Yeah. I had it on here. Yeah, so it's 70 to 142. So yeah, so it's like around 70 pages. So it's not too wild.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that's a decent amount. For some reason, I thought it was longer, the first section, and I was like, oh, I might need to start reading a day earlier.
Yeah.
I realized it was 84 pages, and I'm like, okay, that's okay, but I like this book because you could read it a few chapters at a time, and since it's from different perspectives, like it's not, for some reason, it's easier for me to keep up with it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a quick read.
Mm-hmm. I like that too. Because I mean, they're tiny little chapters technically, but they're not too big where you get lost, and they still kind of bring in from the past, and you're like, oh, this is where we left off. Oh, that's what happened.
Yeah, it's more organized.
Yeah.
Yeah, those wild chapters were so long. You guys read wild, right?
Yeah, we read that one. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. You can go back and watch our videos, Julie.
Huh?
Oh yeah, I had it on audio, and it was like every chapter was like a whole hour.
Yeah,
oh my god.
I think there's a few. There was maybe like 1 or 2 where people did not finish the reading because it was a lot, and then a few parts were kind of like, okay, get to it. Like it's getting kind of slow, you know.
Yeah.
It was a good book overall. We also watched the movie. The movie was not good.
Oh yeah, I need to watch it.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't good though.
Oh, I didn't like it. It was very. I mean, the whole thing is about her hiking, so like, there's not much content to bring into the movie to make it interesting.
Yeah.
So I fell asleep twice trying to watch it, and I know that I think someone else fell asleep.
Watched it.
Yeah, it's slow.
I never went back to watch it since you guys mentioned you fell asleep.
I was also tired, so hey, maybe it was a bias. I don't know. You guys can watch
probably fall asleep.
It's kind of hard to watch movies when the movie's just about one person.
Unless it's really good, yeah.
Yeah, unless it's, but I read a little bit of the book, and the character I didn't like the character, so I knew I wouldn't. I've never watched the movie, but.
But you're like, nah. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah. I just liked it because I would like go on my daily walk with the babies, and then I'd listen to her hiking, and I felt like, oh, I'm hiking.
I actually started hiking way more after I read it, and I'm like,
yeah,
you know what? Let's just do it. And I didn't. That wasn't the purpose of it, but I'm like, it did start right after this book, so that was kind of
cool. That's good.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go for today, but I'm excited to see you guys for the next one.
Yes, that is all for today. Part 2 next Sunday, same time, and I think 2 more girls will be joining us, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, tell them it's a quick read so they can
I feel like they probably didn't even like look into it. Maybe, who knows?
It's faster because of all the different sections. It's like whenever it ends that you don't have to read like that chunk of the page.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
All
right, good night.
Well, see
Good
you guys.
night.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.